Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video on my page. I am Screen Scene Guru, coming at you with a full movie review and some movie talk, some new updates and news in the industry. Starting off with, I have watched Wicked for Good. This came out last year in 2025. Really excited to get into this. I'm a big fan of the first Wicked. I've yet to go into the bonus features for that movie, but I've recently watched the sequel, Wicked for Good. I watched it digitally on Prime Video. So I'm going into the story here. We've got Elphaba, the future Wicked Witch of the West, and her relationship with Glinda, the Good Witch of the North. The second of a two-parter feature film adaptation of the Broadway musical, directed by John M. Chu. Really good stuff here. We got the stars Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, and of course Jeff Goldblum. So really cool stuff there. Had a really good marketing campaign for the second one. Almost a little bit stronger than the first Wicked. So that will help out with the box office for sure. Let's see. Going into some more of the cast real quick. We've got some returning characters, such as we got Jonathan Bailey as Pharaoh. He returned, and we actually got to see his story expanded upon, because he ends up becoming the straw man, the scarecrow. Then we also got introduced to Coleman Domingo, who voiced the Cowardly Lion, which was really interesting stuff there. So like I said, it's a direct sequel to the first Wicked, where they're of course smearing Elphaba, going after her, trying to market her as the Wicked Witch, that she changed the monkeys. She did abscond with the Grimoire, their book of magic. Interesting that we get to see in this sequel that Glinda actually didn't have any real magical powers. It was kind of hinted to in the first movie, because we never saw Glinda do anything particularly special. But this one they actually confirmed it was basically her popularity was what made her special. She was the people's champion, if you will. And that Elphaba had true magic with her all along. Potentially because her father was the wizard. Very interesting stuff, which I did not catch the first time I watched the first Wicked, but they did explain in the second one, Wicked for Good, that her father was the wizard. So very interesting. They showed off the green bottle, the elixir he likes to drink. So maybe that was a reason why she had magical powers, or maybe that was a mix between both our world and Oz. I thought that was very cool. Of course, they play up that there's a land beyond Oz. There's a desert that apparently a castle exists, an old retro castle, which Elphaba seems to take as her own with the monkeys. She, of course, goes to bargain with the wizard, similar to the first movie. The soundtrack, too, I wouldn't say the soundtrack's that great for Wicked for Good. I liked it, but it's a lot of the repeating narratives and songs. But yeah, there was a really cool montage where the wizard was dancing with Glinda and Elphaba. They also showed that the animals were being kept in the Emerald City right when Glinda's wedding was supposed to happen. So that was kind of shocking that they kept all the animals in the city where you're going to have this big celebration. Fiyero left Glinda at the altar for Elphaba, which was shocking, but of course that's his true love, so they had to do that part of the story. And then in Glinda's grief, she suggests they use Elphaba's sister as bait to lure her out. So of course Madame Marble, who's played by, let's see, go down the cast, Michelle Yeoh. Michelle Yeoh returns in this sequel, and she causes the tornado that drops Dorothy on Alphaba's sister, who had the red ruby slippers. So really interesting that they gave, was that the right one? Nesrose? Let me see. Yeah. Okay, so Marissa Bode, who her character was known as Nessa, who's in the wheelchair, of course. Her sister comes to her in Munchkin Town. She's the new mayor after their father passed. And she gives her ruby slippers to let her fly, let her feel the emotions. But of course, when Bod, yeah, Bod doesn't have the same feelings for her, so that causes her to fall back down to ground. And Bod asks Nessa if he can go to the capital city, Emerald City, to profess his love for Glinda. Very interesting stuff here. And of course, Nessa prevents him by going, she basically prevents any people from Munchkin Town going to the Emerald City, which is very interesting. So there's a lot more nuances in the second film. You see the building of the Yellow Brick Road without Elphaba. Elphaba's there to kind of stop them at the beginning of the film from using the animals, mistreating animals. And everything kind of comes to a nice conclusion at the end. Of course, we do see that Glinda was there at the castle when Dorothy arrived with a bucket of water to pour on Elphaba, but it was all a trap, sort of, for basically the land to get back to normal. They had to get rid of Elphaba's Wicked Witch, or at least fake her death, so she could run off with Fiero, the Scarecrow. So a very interesting new take on the story. I wonder if this was how the Broadway play ended. I'm not exactly sure. I didn't watch the Broadway play. But it definitely adds more characters and more nuance to the story. They essentially kicked the wizard out of Oz. They said he had to travel to a new land. So I wonder what that's going to be about. And yeah, the animals seem to return after they got rid of Elphaba, which that was interesting. I liked Jeff Goldblum's performance. I liked Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande. Ariana Grande kind of became a boss at the end of the film because she knew really what was going on, and she had essentially the power of being fake. I mean, I don't really know. It seems like Elphaba gave her some powers too, but a lot of it was just her faking it to make it. That was interesting. I mean, the whole bubble chair she gets, Oz, or not Oz, the wizard crafts her the bubble chair because she doesn't have any real magic. So that's very interesting. And she basically just tells people what they want to hear. And that's what good is, basically. But very interesting concept for this film. I liked it a lot. I'll probably be purchasing this on physical media once it comes out to get the bonus features. Check those out. Real quick, though, before I leave you guys, I do have some movie notes to go over real quick. Starting with Stranger Things spin-off and other things. So they're discussing Stranger Things spin-offs, and this has been in the rumor gate, the rumor mill, because there was no 9th episode. It was a bunk, and that now I guess people are asking, why didn't they see the Broadway play of Stranger Things? Because I guess the Broadway play of Stranger Things has a lot more to say than the season finale did. Apparently they're jumping back through time. You get to see Henry Creel touch the rock from the season finale, which leads him to Dimension X. I guess there was a whole subplot with the Philadelphia experiment, if you guys are familiar with that. A ship that teleported or disappeared. Apparently the Broadway play started out with the Philadelphia experiment. The ship transported to Dimension X. It returns with this rock that the Americans and the Soviets are studying. And apparently this was supposed to be a major part of the finale, but a lot of people didn't watch the Broadway play. It explained how Henry Creel, Joyce, Hopper, they all knew each other in school. I wish they had done that in the show, but they purposely kept it out because they wanted people to watch the Broadway play, which no one did. So that's very interesting stuff going on. They talked about how there'd be a mini-series with Nancy and Maya Hawke's character. They talked about Henderson and what is it? I want to say it's like Steve. Yeah, Steve and not Bobby, but trying to think of his name real quick. Let me pull up the cast. Dustin. Yeah, Dustin and Steve are going to have a paranormal investigating crew, which that's really cool. Recently we had a fatal tragedy in Minnesota as there was ICE agents who shot and killed a woman in her car as she was going past a barricade in Minnesota as they were conducting ICE raids. Really sad, tragic news. Of course, this administration has targeted people going after ICE agents. They don't like that. They consider it domestic terrorism, which is very shocking. But of course, we had the unfortunate passing of Rennie. Some people have identified her as Rennie. She was a mother, and it's crazy that they shot her in her car. But again, they incited that she was driving erratically. She hit one of the ICE agents with her car. All this stuff. But yeah, some global news is happening that's pretty crazy with Venezuela. We currently have Maduro in custody in New York City. He is facing crimes of narco-terrorism. So that's very interesting. Him and his wife, which I felt like it was a bit of an overkill to go after the wife as well. But going on, we got a total new announcement from Lucasfilm about new creatives taking over. We got Dave Filoni and another individual rising up the ranks to apparently fill in the gap of Kathleen Kennedy is closing out her term at Lucasfilm. Apparently in the next few weeks they're going to be announcing this. Star Trek Academy premiered on January 6th on the red carpet. It was played for an audience of a few hundred people, but Becky Lynch was there with her Intercontinental Championship belt that she won off of Maxine Dupree on Monday Night Raw. I've been watching it again. She had a really cool Star Trek uniform on there, which is really cool too. X-Men trailer has been released for Avengers Doomsday in its full glory, 4K. The Death of Robin Hood with Hugh Jackman dropped a trailer for A24's new movie. The Housemaid is confirmed to be getting a sequel, which sounds pretty cool, pretty fun. A lot of people seem to be liking that movie. Sebastian Stan is in rumors to play Harvey Dent in Batman Part 2, so really cool, adding talent to the Batman. And they said that Scarlett Johansson would even play Glinda, or Gilda Dent, his wife. And potentially Brad Pitt could play Sebastian Stan's father. So that could be really cool in the way of casting goes. But some really cool stuff going on Fallout right now, guys. If you haven't watched it, I have caught up on Season 2. I've gotten to the first 3 episodes. There's one I haven't watched yet, but the first 3 are really good. If you haven't already seen them, let me pull that up real quick. Current season, the dark comedy. I did like the episodes they had. Let's go to season 2. Okay. Starting with episode 1, the Invader. Every dollar spent is a vote cast. So this one was about communism. About essentially brainwashing people into being communist, which was a very interesting concept. I mean, this is something from the games that was heavily influenced, and the lore with the games. There had been several conflicts, worldwide conflicts, leading up to the bombs dropping. So this was a little bit more of explanation into that. The Golden Rule, episode 2, you can't put a price on family. This was a really interesting episode. We got to see, Lucy go after some people that were part of the Romans tribe. She was able to save her from scorpions, really big mutated scorpions, of course. Really cool backstory we got to see with Maximus and him living with the Brotherhood now. They've got control over the Area 51 installation, the military base, which marks a new strategic change in power. They are now going to be stronger than ever if they can survive a civil war between the Brotherhood and the Commonwealth. We got to see a really cool cameo at the end of episode 2, episode 3. We got to see. Let me see if they show the cast on IMDb. Oh no, they don't. Oh fuck. Let me go out here. New tab. Pulled up the cast for season 2. Show more. Full cast and crew. Okay, let's see. Oh, I hate this one because they have like small pictures for them. They don't show you very good. Going down the line. IMDb has such a whack page because they don't show you a good photo of crap. I am going out of IMDb. Macaulay Culkin has joined the cast for season 2. He plays a Roman centurion who was pretty good. He was in about 2 episodes so far. Kyle MacLachlan is doing terrific in New Vegas. He actually got to experiment with some of the chips being put in people's heads. It seems like they do not yet have the master chip, because this is something they talked about in the games. What's going on? Let me see. Some new cast members. We got Justin Theroux as Mr. House was introduced. Really cool casting. As well as, where is he? Come on. Okay, now I got season 2 cast. Okay, Camille Nanjiani, who played Palladian Xander Harkness, confident, and he's a liaison to the powerful Commonwealth Brotherhood of Steel. Really interesting cameo here with Camille Nanjiani from Eternals, because we didn't expect him to be a major role in this season. He just showed up as, a liaison. And then he went out kicking ass with Maximus, which was pretty fun at the end of season 2. But of course, they came across a group of ghoulies and children, and he was going to wipe out the ghoulies because that is the Brotherhood code. And Maximus had to take out Xander, which was unfortunate, with his own hammer, of course. And then going on from episode 2, we've got episode 3, the profligate. Most kids are dead by this age. So yeah, all of the episode descriptions don't really tell you a lot. on IMDb. But if you guys watched this episode, this was, of course, we got to see the Ranger, Ghoulie, who is going after Lucy. He's got to get her back after she never returned from the Romans. He's offered them the location of the last bit of resistance from the United California group. So that's very interesting. There's only 2 people left. NCR and the Romans have been fighting cats and dogs. But it's very interesting that in the games, they had this master chip, or a chrome chip, that they gave to the robots. The robots were sentries. They were guards, essentially, in New Vegas. All the robots appear to be derelict in the show, so they didn't get that upgraded chip. House, we're not seeing House yet, so it doesn't look like he downloaded himself into the machines. Something happened. So maybe we'll find that out by Season 2's ending. They did confirm we are getting a Season 3, so that's really good stuff. So yeah, they got an Episode 4, The Demon in the Snow. I'm guessing it's going to be where you get to see the big bad monster everyone's been talking about. Deathclaw. So yeah, they talk about this in Episode 4. Apparently, main monster featured predominantly Deathclaw, which appears in New Vegas and attacks Lucy, and the ghoul, Walton Goggins. Other expected creatures from the game, like Radiscorpions, I think we've seen those already, mole rats, and also anticipated with the cast members including Macaulay Culkin and Justin Trudeau. Yeah, we've already seen them introduced in the show. But yeah, really interesting stuff that we got to see the Deathclaw, and a bit of a flashback sequence with Walton Goggins in the suits, I guess. Try to pull up real quick what they called their suits. Okay, so Fallout suit armor, primarily called Power Armor, the iconic heavy-duty power exoskeletons offering immense protection, strength, and radiation resistance, featured the models. So the flashback sequence with Walton Goggins in Alaska, apparently before the bombs dropped in the Fallout universe, America and China were at war, at conflict. This is the main reason why they needed the power armor. They were battling with Chinese forces, so that was really interesting. They talked about how the Deathclaw was there in back in the day fighting the Chinese. Walton Goggins was barely able to escape, but apparently the T-45 armor that he wore back in the day was known for overheating. It even burned the occupants wearing it. So it was known to crash out, basically, and fall apart. People would be immobilized in the suit from the T-45. Currently in the show right now, the armor you see Maximus wearing and the other Brotherhood, that is the T-60 armor, which has better resistance of overheating or failure. Apparently also has critical survival in wasteland, and powerful by fusion cores. Of course, we know that. Beyond power armors, also noble armor types include combat armor, versatile, so they just go into the different types. Very interesting that there was an earlier model shown off in the show that Walton Goggins fought Chinese people in. Unfortunately, his suit failed, of course, after being shot a few times with AK-47s. And where now we see the current model T-60 is invulnerable to most projectiles, even electronic blasts, radiation resistance. So when you're in the suit, you're essentially invincible. So that's pretty cool. But they have talked about there are little notches in the armor, where we saw in season 1, for instance, Walton Goggins said, did they ever replace the faulty plating? And he killed several of the Brotherhood in their suits with his own weapons. So we know the Ghoul has weapons that can take on the power suits, power armor. But it was a really cool montage scene there. Going on, we've got, oh, it looks like there's other types too. There's the T45, T51, T60, X01, and then Tesla excavator. So that's pretty cool. Oh, and they even show you there's a level 1 through 7 of the power armors. And right now it looks like they're about level 2 to 4, somewhere in between 2 and 4 with the design. Components of the armor consists of base frame, molecular pieces attached. Power source requires fusion core, of course. Upgrades. Most armor can be modified with lead linking for radiation resistance. So yeah, really cool stuff here about that. You guys can collect the armor suits as well. They have like little game match pieces you can collect and build your own suits, which that's pretty fun. But yeah, that should do it for my video on content. What do you guys think of movie review? There's some movie news in there, Batman Part 2 news, Fallout reviews. I still gotta watch episode 4. But what are you guys thinking of Fallout so far? It's doing pretty good. I'm looking forward to the season finale. With the weekly episodes, I think it's doing better than season 1 did, because season 1 was kind of a, you watched it or you didn't. Season 2 is definitely getting a lot more people talking about it, so that's good. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about all the stuff. Leave a like, comment down below what your thoughts are. Probably going to be doing Raw reviews soon, because I have been watching again, so be sure to keep an eye out for that.